everyone, Marie here, and today's video is my wrap-up for AUTHORATHON. So for AUTHORATHON, I chose to read from one author, and I picked Rowell. I read Fangirl and I read Carry On, and both of them I was like, eh. I don't know if it was the hype, and if the hype wasn't there, then maybe I would enjoy them more. So I decided instead of giving up, I was going to read the rest. I ended up picking up Attachments and Eleanor Park at a charity sale. So, and I had Landline here from my library. So I decided to read Rowell. First thing I read was Eleanor and Park, and this was a very touching story. It's about Eleanor and Park and their relationship together, and the book is taking place over an entire year, and it's coming from two different POVs, Eleanor and Park. So you get to see what they both think in the same setting, and how they see each other, and how they see themselves in their own lives. It's got diversity in it, and it's just, I didn't think that I would really enjoy it until I enjoyed it. Like, I couldn't put it down. I read it in a day, and it was just, it was touching. It was just very touching. There was some upsetting things, some touching subjects, family problems. You go through a lot of things that teenagers could possibly go through, or some teenagers do go through, and how they deal with it. And the ending is sad, but you kind of see it coming, because these two know that this is their first love, and that first loves never last. So this was a surprising enjoyment for me. The second book I read was Landline, and I haven't heard a whole lot of good things about Landline. This is one of her adult books, and it's about a couple. It's Christmas time, and the relationship's not going so well in the first place. Georgie and Neil are supposed to go to Neil's mother's house for Christmas, but Georgie has a pilot to write on a deadline. So she's staying back home while Neil takes the kids to his mother's place, which is causing a lot of contention and hard feelings. So Georgie's upset about all of this, Neil's upset about all of this, and Georgie ends up staying with her mother and her sister over Christmas. She's trying to get in touch with Neil and ends up finding the Neil that she first fell in love with, the young teenager Neil, through a landline. I thought it was a really interesting concept. Here she is talking to Neil, the person that she originally fell in love with, and she realizes over this course of time their relationship and why she fell in love with him. I really enjoyed this book. I don't know if this was because it was her adult book that people didn't really like it, or if it was the concept they didn't like, but I got sucked into this book. I really wanted to know what happened. And of course, as you go on, you kind of see, you can predict the ending. But I think for me, as an adult, married for 13 years, the book more was touched home more than a young adult book might have. So maybe that's why I enjoyed it more. Then I read Attachments, and I haven't heard a whole lot of good things about this one either. This is, I think, her other adult book that she wrote. It's about a guy named Lincoln who works at the IT department for security in a newspaper, and his job is to read everybody's email that's being flagged for inappropriate content. He ends up reading the email between two girls, Beth and Jennifer, and he can't seem to stop reading the emails. He ends up falling in love with Beth through her emails without even knowing who she is. I know that some people think this, Lincoln reading their emails is creepy, but he he's kind of doing his job, and this book could have turned into a whole other book that I could see where people wouldn't like. But I think the results were good, and once you start reading it and start realizing, like, Beth herself ends up doing some stuff too. So yes, it is about somebody that's reading personal emails, which is his job. Maybe not his job to continuously read them, but and he technically is supposed to be giving them a warning or whatever not, but he doesn't. He doesn't go and search out these emails. He doesn't read emails that aren't flagged. He just reads the ones that come up, and he gets captivated in their stories and captivated in Beth. So about relationships and the things in people's lives, and I think maybe the ending might have ended a little too quick and abruptly, but I really enjoyed the book, and by the time, it was a little slow getting into the book, but by the time I got to the last half, I was breezing right through it. And the last thing I read was her new short story, Kindred Spirits. Kindred Spirits is about a girl named Elena who is a Star Wars fan. She's excited because the new Star Wars movie's out, and she wants to have that experience of standing in the line at the cinema for days on end, waiting to get in line. Of course, she finds herself being the last in the line of 3 people. We follow her through these 3 days or 4 days that she's there, things that she encounters during this time. It's a very quick 62 pages, I think. And it was a very delightful story. I was actually surprised when it first started. I'm thinking, I'm not really quite sure. But right away, you get into it and you get hooked. She finds friendship and she finds stuff out about herself. So that's my Rainbow Rowell experience. And I think the only thing that I haven't read yet from Rainbow Rowell, I think she has a short story in a book called My True Love Gave to Me, I think. And I do own that. I didn't read that story because I haven't read that book, and I think I might read that book at Christmas time this year. My overall experience, it worked out great. I'm happy for our AUTHORATHON, and I'm so glad the lovely ladies put it on, because I may not have actually read all of Rainbow Rowell. And I had a great experience. All the books that I read were at least a 4 out of 5 stars. So what does everybody else think of Rainbow Rowell? Do you like what she writes? Are you more for her young adult books instead of her adult books? Do you think that maybe some of the books that you didn't like are because they were overly hyped? I'm starting to wonder that now, because everybody loved Fangirl and Carry On, but they weren't my favorite, so I'm not quite sure if the hype of them is what made me not like them as much. Let me know down below in the comments what you think. And until my next video, I hope you all have a wonderful reading week. Goodbye!